Welcome to Clean Slate by Desjardins, the podcast where there are no awkward money questions. I'm Jessica Moorhouse, and in each episode, we're going to take a look at the turning points in people's lives and explore young Canadians answering those big existential questions about their journeys and their finances. It's time to go beyond the money and see how these big questions impact everything that we do. Clean Slate is by Desjardins, a cooperative who is on a mission to enrich people's lives. They're about more than just money. They're a financial institution that believes in the spirit of community. Today, I'm speaking with Andrew Szeto. Welcome, Andrew. I'm so excited to have you here and to chat with you.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. I love everything that you do. I think what you're doing is my secret dream of living in the woods and learning how to woodwork and just canoeing everywhere. That probably won't happen, but that's a fantasy that I like to go to sometimes. So you run your own business, you're a woodworker, you also have a full-time job. How did you get into all of this?
I'm mostly just trying to have a ton of fun out there, I guess. But yeah, skateboarding is really the genesis for a lot of it, frankly, right? You're always in pursuit of like the next trick and trying to do something that you've never done before. And I feel like, as I'm getting older, my legs don't work quite as well or all the same. I'm still trying to do the same thing, but in different ways. So trying to build things that, I've maybe never seen before, or at least in my way with my particular medium of skateboards and stuff. So yeah, just always trying to push a boundary and kind of stoke myself out, if you will. Yeah,
integrate kind of two new passions. Now with the woodworking, how does one fall into woodworking, especially if you've never really done it before? How did you kind of find that new passion of yours?
Right. So I knew I wanted to use the wood from skateboards. I just didn't know how. And there was just a wood shop that popped up, a cooperative with a ton of classes. The Ottawa City Wood Shop, it's called. On a whim, kind of enrolled into a class, and then became a member. From there, I had a couple wonderful mentors, but my pal Richard Scott ended up really kind of showing me everything. And if I had an idea that I had no clue about, which was pretty much all the time, I'd just be like, dude, do you have an idea of how I could do this? And he would, help quarterback things, and so much so to a point where we've built a home together. So
yeah, that's how you make a good friend for life, is building a house together, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why was it so important for you to integrate the skateboards into your woodworking, and also how do you figure out the price point and just manage the financial side of things?
So there's a ton to unpack there.
I know. Products and pricing. How does one start a woodworking business?
Well, we're in a wonderful home now. You kind of look at some of the furniture and the furnishings and stuff, and it's really wonderfully decorated. And, I kind of want to be in the conversation. I kind of want to be in the mix. So, I kind of see something rad on, let's say, on one of the social media platforms. And I'm kind of, I could make that. I can kind of give it my spin. So that's really a huge genesis. And coming from the skateboarding world once again, I shot a ton for the magazines, photos and videos and such. And so, being able to kind of produce some media myself, I was kind of able to kind of give my products life. And then, certain things have kind of gone viral on Instagram, on YouTube. And yeah, it's kind of really led to people following my stuff. And then whenever I make something, I've been, generally speaking, very fortunate to be able to have a buyer probably on the other end. And I have, quite a pre-order list as well for things like paddles. So yeah, it's been an awesome road.
Have you tried a few products that just did not take, no one wants this chair I built, but paddles, for some reason, everyone wants a paddle?
I wouldn't say that folks don't necessarily want it. I would say that it's maybe I've built it out. It's not up to my standard of quality. I've built things like knife holders out of magnets and stuff. And, frankly, the magnets I sourced just weren't strong enough. And so, had to end up scrapping the batch and stuff like that.
You do this on the side, which I think is remarkable, that you have this as your side hustle. You have a day job as well. And, just thinking about when you're starting a business like this, obviously there's a ton of costs. You have to buy the materials, and then there's also your time involved. And then, I'm assuming marketing and, having a website and things like that. How important is it for you to kind of have the fallback or that security of that kind of full-time income, and then have that side hustle? How has that, I guess, affected your business?
Right. So So I would say that a lot of folks, it's sometimes it's very one or the other, cut and dry. But I've been very fortunate to have I've worked about 11, 12 years with the Coast Guard, and I'm now with the Department of Fisheries and Oceans. I feel like my organization, my day job, I've kind of had a really wonderful experience. I kind of love my job, serving Canadians and kind of doing what we do in the Coast Guard. It's kind of a sweet thing. It's not like I've ever wanted to leave necessarily. It's just been very organic to kind of do them both. To a point where, I now work on the media side of things for the government. And, it lends itself really well in the sense that, I'm able to hone my skills during my day job and then kind of bring them even to some of to creating media for myself when I kind of build things. Right. So it's all just kind of really worked out, I think, from my perspective. And I frankly enjoy it all.
So you do this on the side, you've got your full-time business. That's a lot. And you spend, 3 hours a paddle. If you're making paddles a week, but you got 9 hours dedicated just making paddles every single week. How do you find balance with your business, your job, your personal life? And I guess kind of the other kind of question is there even any room to expand your business, or is that something you even want to do?
Right. So for me, honestly, it's a bit of a lifestyle brand. I really enjoy what I'm doing, frankly. The 9 hours is 9 hours I'm going to make time for, because it's, I want my signature product. I want, my thing to be out there. And so it's one of those where for me, I get a lot of joy from building that and also working with folks. And so, it's not even a question. It's really that's a part of the balance period. It makes me happy, frankly. And so, beyond that though, I certainly try and find enough time to use my products. I make products like this for a reason, right? I make coffee products because I love coffee. I make paddles because I love being on the water, and I'm able to use them and share experiences with people. So I'm definitely, beyond the actual making, I certainly have enough time to spend with my dog, spend with my partner, and enjoy things for sure.
Okay, so going back to kind of the financial side of running a business, you've got your materials, you have to dedicate your time. Obviously, you need to pay yourself for your time. Shipping costs. How do you figure out the kind of the financial side of your business and how to price things and actually make a profit?
Right. So there's twofold answer to that. First of all is looking at who's in the space already. So let's say in the paddle space, there's a couple companies that price their products similarly to mine. And I basically kind of, went after the pricing that they kind of had. And so, and then I also look at the time that was put into my products. So let's say when I build out one of my paddles, it takes roughly 3 hours, and I'm okay with that. In the price that I charge about $400 a paddle. I'm okay in that exchange for my time. And when it comes to materials, we're talking about $30 a paddle for various woods, and a lot of that is reclaimed as well, right? So a lot of my materials are recycled skateboards, and it's all reclaimed product. So it just lends itself well when it comes to it. That particular formula, after having done some trial and error, works for me.
It sounds like you pretty much build whatever you want. Like if you need something for your home, you build it. You're building your own sauna. You have now your own little cottage getaway. And it sounds like a lot of that may have to do with just like the overall kind of minimalist vibe I'm getting from you, and how frugality is really important. Instead of like going out and buying something that's pre-made, you're like, how do I learn how to make this and build this and have that? So I want to kind of talk about the importance of frugality in your own life. Why is that kind of a value that you like to integrate?
Frugality is important because you want to be able to, if you have goals, you kind of have to, everything frankly requires resources.
Yeah.
So, being frugal in the sense that, am I going to go out every night, or am I going to go out once a week, or am I going to go out once a month to a nice fancy meal? You kind of have to really know where those dollars can be spent otherwise. And I'm super on the ball. I'm super on the ball when it comes to understanding, what resources need to go into what projects. So I wouldn't say it's so much of it being frugal as much as it is prioritizing what it is I'm putting in my money into, because, materials aren't cheap. So, I'm not being frugal in the sense of, I'm going to skimp on this material to go for this because it's cheaper. It's basically a stability thing. If everything I'm trying to go for optimal quality for the things that I prioritize in my life, certainly.
So it sounds kind of like what I like to call intentional spending, or just being very mindful with your money.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of essential when it's you're building all these things and trying new things. But, since you said that you're pretty good, sounds like pretty good with your money, what is your kind of do you have a budget? Do you make having an emergency a priority? What kind of things that maybe you kind of learn to make sure that your business is doing well, you've also kind of integrated into your personal finances?
Well, I certainly, I'm pretty tight on my books. So, when it comes to actual materials and things, I'm, monthly, I am on top of what I'm doing, frankly. I've also, year after year, I certainly look at how products are doing, and, we'll cut things if I have to, and I'll just continue to monitor, certainly. And, for the products that make sense, like let's say my paddles right now, double down on those. And yeah, I certainly am just pretty tight on monitoring what's going on with regards to the resources where I'm putting them, and then, resources I'm getting back from various products. So
amazing.
Yeah.
So I guess you do that with your personal finances, always tracking where money's coming in, coming out, so you can always stay afloat. And I assume also planning for the future.
Absolutely. It's such a core part of even being able to save up for property and houses to begin with, right? To be able to save that down payment. I'm fortunate enough to have great parents who, I graduated engineering and I got an engineering job at a school. They were like, the first thing you're going to do with your money is put that into a home. And I was like, reluctantly, sure, I'll do that. I guess I kind of want to just party right now. But they were like, we didn't move to this country so that you would just throw your money away.
Yeah.
So we're going to have you we're going to make sure that you do this. And, I'm very thankful that that has happened.
Well, it sounds like you got some good money tips from your parents. Is there anything else that you've kind of learned over the years that has helped you kind of get to where you are at financially right now?
Things that have gotten me there would be making mistakes, frankly. When I first started out and making brands and stuff, I made a clothing brand. And, a collection season to season cost me like $10,000.
Yeah.
You front that money and you see that as a debt until you kind of make some of that money back. Certain seasons were better than others. Yeah. And so you learn really fast through looking at your credit card statements that, wow, that is not a really smart way of spending your money. So, honestly, through making mistakes, I would say that goes for skateboarding. I'd say that goes for woodworking. You kind of really learn through just like messing up and making mistakes.
And hopefully learning from those mistakes, not repeating them. Yeah. That's the essential thing, isn't it?
Exactly.
So you document pretty much everything that you do, like the A-frame. There's so many amazing videos you've created on, social media and YouTube. I'm curious, did the idea that, hey, I could probably make some income through this content, did that have a level of importance of like, I should continue to make YouTube videos because then it can help me earn income so I can continue making these projects? Or was it just a happy side effect?
So it's a happy side effect. Initially, with me, I was just happy creating these videos for my products because I wanted people to just be like, I have this thing. How many things do we have in our lives, right?
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, I want to know how that's made. And it's just like, no, there's a video for basically everything that I've made. And, I want there to just be that, generational thing where folks can look back on a particular product and be like, oh, there's actually like really crisp clear documentation. So that was really the genesis of it. Kind of filmed the whole build of the A-frame build there's no expectation at all, right? And, out of nowhere one day, I got an email from YouTube basically saying, hey, you're basically free to monetize if you want. And it's because my A-frame build like overnight kind of just skyrocketed. And, today I think there's like 2.6 million views on that. The A-frame has been paid off for that whole build. And the land.
Nice.
Yeah, it's frankly been paid off for due to that side income. So it's been sweet. I've been able to certainly benefit from something I didn't know about initially. These days, obviously, being a YouTuber is kind of a big thing, and people aspire for that. But at the time, 5-6 years or, several years back, it wasn't really in my ether per se. And I'm not a huge YouTuber or anything now, but, grateful for the blips of success here and there. And yeah, grateful for that experience.
I feel like you have a very kind of, unique or just kind of like, honestly, in my view, interesting way of thinking about money and even success. You're not about just like rapid growth just for the sake of growth. You're really intentional with your money, intentional with, the projects that you work on, intentional with pretty much everything you do, which I think is actually really awesome. Do you want to kind of share, what your personal definition to, say, success or financial independence, what does that mean to you?
So those can be two somewhat different things,
Definitely.
but they do tie, because I think, financial independence, not full independence, but like, financial happiness or financial freedom certainly leads to regular happiness. And for me, that's the number one thing. I kind of really just want to be making things I want to be making, influencing folks, in a positive way, having really great relationships, being happy, for me is success, mentally, physically, and just really ensuring that I have that joie de vivre. I'm like, kind of enjoying what I'm doing is everything. And then from there, I've been, kind of shaping my careers, shaping my investments, and, I'm not a completely financially independent person by any means, but I feel like, I have built up these assets and, built up a brand that I'm really happily and easily sustaining. And that to me is, success. I'm happy. And I think anyone who's kind of on that wavelength, I suppose, is probably doing pretty well for themselves, hopefully.
Yeah. Last kind of question for you. It seems like you've got, you're pretty happy. You've got a good balance. You're good. How do you kind of plan for the future? Like, what do you see yourself doing, or where would you like to be in 5 or 10 years?
Yeah. So,
or even longer.
So frankly, I kind of have like this life goals list written out.
I love that.
That I straight up look at like weekly, and I'm like, how did I feel this week went for me? How did I feel like, that week went for me? I'm constantly looking at it. I'm looking at influences. I certainly have, folks who don't know me or anything, but I certainly look at them as mentors and stuff. And I'm just like, how's that person doing with their brand or their business or what they're putting out in the world? And, I'm always kind of reassessing what I'm doing. I'd love to be, like a bit of a master builder someday, running courses, having people, kind of continuing what I'm doing and seeing that, they're able to build some of the products that I build, coming in with very little skill, leaving on the other side with smiles and happy experiences. I just kind of want to continue with that and, someday, have my products in like a secondhand store and someone really picked that up and like, wow, how was this made? Or like, this is a really cool thing, or, have generations of folks pass, maybe my products down and stuff. So that's where, keep sustaining and keep having fun, pushing my limits, and just hopefully having folks, having folks be happy and have my products and having them live on for generations, hopefully.
See, asking questions about money isn't so embarrassing, is it? All you have to do is start the conversation. Now, I made this podcast with Desjardins because they believe that you need to start early to build a solid financial mindset. Good habits lead to great results. There are so many amazing stories out there that help us answer those big questions we all have. But it's really important to talk about these things without taboos or judgment. I really hope you enjoyed what Andrew had to say. Click to listen to the next episode of Clean Slate by Desjardins, the institution who's on a mission to enrich people's lives and build community. Well, that's me signing off, and I hope you'll join me for the next one.